Welcome to Artists Found, a place where art making, thrifting, and interior design combine. I'm hoping to encourage you to make your own art and find unique items to personalize your spaces. So our video is going to be about boho style, and it's all about nature, being relaxed, and looking at bringing things from the outdoors in. Today we're going to use acrylic inks and watercolors, and I'm going to show you how you prepare your materials. Here we are taping down some heavyweight watercolor paper using painter's tape on a board that was an old drawing board that I actually picked up at a garage sale. So now you have your paper stretched, and it's time for you to look at an object or look at a resource on the computer and sketch out your subject matter, which happens to be a blue jay feather in this case. And I'm using a very light colored watercolor pencil. That way I don't have any muddiness that happens from blending in the drawing pencil. Once your drawing is complete, you want to go ahead and use a light spray of water all over the paper so that it doesn't buckle when you start applying your paint. While your watercolor paper is puffing up from being wet and it needs to dry completely before applying paint, you can go ahead and prepare your water, your paper towel, and the brushes that you're going to use. And we're going to start with the negative space. So I like to thin my acrylic inks down a little bit so it's a little bit thinner and lighter, and then I very carefully outline the edges where my line is, and because I used a light blue color, it really just blends in with the paint and you can't see that there was an original drawing line. So this works out really great. So now the negative space, which is not the feather, is now blocked in with the light green. We need to let it completely dry before adding details. While that painting dries, I'm going to go ahead and get started on the background of this painting. The painting features two barn owl feathers, and I'm going to be adding a blue backdrop during the daytime and a couple of trees that eventually I'm going to add some gold foil to. So enjoy watching this fast forward sequence. I thought I would use these Asian watercolors that have been sitting around in my studio for a while, and I went ahead and pre-wet the area and dampened the paint. And I started to spread it onto the paper, and you can see it just kind of got grainy looking. So rather than trying to mess with it too much more, I just let it dry. And I went ahead and mixed up some acrylic inks, really thin, and I layered over the top of it. As I was working on the background, I noticed that the owl feathers started to fade, so I went ahead and added some stronger color to each one of them, trying to be very careful not to overwork it. I was using acrylic inks, and then to add the white to have a little more pop, I went ahead and used some acrylic paint, white acrylic paint, to make them look a little more fuzzy and make them stand out. I really do like to layer and mix, and I like to mix up my media as well. And so on this painting, I'm going to go ahead and add some gold leaf. I'm going to go ahead and apply the Mona Lisa adhesive, wait for it to get tacky, and then I'm going to take the gold foil that is on another sheet of paper and you slowly press it onto the tacky glue until it all peels up, and then you're ready to go. And one last painting. This features another barn owl feather. And I went ahead and I blocked in the positive space this time. My drawing was done very lightly with a pencil, so you don't see the lines very well, which is a bonus. And I'm able to go ahead and work into the negative space with my acrylic inks. I water them down, I pre-wet the surface, and I really let the watercolor flow. To mix it up a little bit, I didn't use gold leaf on this painting. Instead, I relied on my gold and iridescent acrylic inks to add a little glimmer to this piece. I feel like all these paintings are very approachable, whether you are a very beginner or someone with a little more experience. I feel like the tips that I've shared here and the methods are easy to copy, and you can find subject matter that you feel would help enhance your style in your home. The list of materials that I used 140-pound Canson white watercolor paper. I also used acrylic inks. I used a variety of acrylic inks. I used the Amsterdam acrylic inks. I also used the Daler Rowney acrylic inks and Liquitex. So you can find all of those at most art stores, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, that sort of thing. I also used the Mona Lisa gold leaf and the Mona Lisa adhesive. In addition, I added a little bit of white acrylic paint, and it was just like a Golden brand or a Liquitex. Really any kind of nice body acrylic paint would work well. On the horizon line, I went ahead and added sunset colors and a florist. So it kind of ties this all together. All of these pieces are different but have similar motifs. I may have used different colors and different orientation and even different approaches to completing the works, but I believe they all fit in really well with the boho style. This is the first video of a 3-part series. The first one is featuring more of make your own art to reflect boho style. The second one is going to feature thrift finds that I've collected over time that you can use in the boho style, and I'll show you how to do it and how to incorporate your artwork and your style of thrifts into one cohesive collection for your home. If you like this video, please hit the bell for notifications for the next video that is all about thrift store finds boho style. In part 3, we'll see what happened to that blue jay painting that we started at the very beginning. So tune in for part 3.